All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all my queens and kings around the globe. It is so wonderful to see so many familiar faces joining us this evening, this morning, or afternoon. It all depends upon your location. Thank you all for coming or taking your time to be here. Whether you are attending from near, far, we are so thrilled to have you here in this amazing deep dive, globally changing life. At this moment, I would like Dr. John to please go ahead and play our signature tune, please.
We are here. Your next stop is Unpassive.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
I want to welcome those on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for coming here. We really appreciate you guys coming. As you all know, we are all here to learn. We are all here to work together as a team. Thank you all for coming. Before I really proceed again, I just want to take this moment to thank our Heavenly Father for bringing each and everyone this evening. Thank you all. Thank you, Queen Dr. T. Thank you, King Brother Carlton. Thank you so much, Queen Joanna, Queen Theodore, Queen Metaline, Queen Rosaline, Queen JW, Queen Lily Lane, our King, Dr. John Ajongwe. Thank you all for coming. So as you all know, we do have a mindset for tonight. You guys know that I don't really have to, you all know her name. You guys know who she is. The only woman, our doctor, who knows everything about mindset. I cannot really talk too much about her because you guys have seen her before. She is our one and only Dr. Tunishai Ford. Could you please, Dr. T, proceed with your mindset?
Thank you so very much, Dr. Benny. I am honored to be here tonight. And I want to thank, as you always say, our Heavenly Father, because it's truly a blessing to be in the land of the living today. When you look at the news, everything that's going on in the world, we need to bow our heads, all of us, Dr. Benny, like you always say, and thank God, because there are people who will never see this day completed. There are people who didn't wake up this morning, and there are people who will not sleep in their beds. So I am truly thankful to be in the land of the living. I am truly thankful to be on this webinar. I thank you, Dr. Derek, if you're listening, for giving us this platform. And I am honored to be able to give you a message that I pray will be transforming. For the last couple of weeks, I talk a lot about finances because I think that this is a very, very important topic that we all should be astute in. That's the key word, to be astute in, because right now we're all on Paspians and we're all waiting for a great launch where we can all start experiencing financial wealth as we deem financial wealth. So my topic tonight is financial self-care habits that will make you feel less stressed. How many of you would like to be less stressed when it comes down to your finances? I mean, think about that. Think about where you are in your life right now. Maybe you're one of those people that you don't have any money issues, and maybe you're one of those people who say, Lord, I need a miracle. Well, if that's you, wherever you are, whether you're the person who doesn't have any money issues or whether you're the person who has money issues, the key is to be less stressed and be in a situation where you can maintain control over your finances. So we're going to be looking at some habits that we need to adopt. And when I get ready to share this, I'm not going to share anything new, but it's going to give you a different perspective. That's what it's going to do. Because you've heard me say many of these things before. And it's nothing new under the face of the sun. We know that there's nothing new, but I want to give it to you in a different perspective. I want you to look at it a little differently tonight because we're talking about self-care, financial self-care. Financial stress can take a significant toll on our overall well-being. But by adopting healthy habits, money habits, this can bring a sense of control and peace to our lives. And I'm pretty sure that you all would agree with that. Just like getting a physical or a mental physical, we have to be concerned about mental self-care, physical self-care. We should also be concerned about our financial self-care. And this means being intentional. That's the key word, being intentional about our choices that we make concerning our finances. So we're going to explore tonight several self-care habits that will make us feel more confident and less stressed out and more control over our finances. So let's look at the first one. And again, I'm not sharing anything new. You've heard these things before, but I just want to put it in a different perspective. The first self-care habit that we should look at is budgeting. Budgeting is the key, number one key for self-care, the habit that we should all accumulate. Self-care, budgeting is the key. Budgeting is the cornerstone of financial self-care. Let me say that one again. Budgeting is the cornerstone of financial self-care. Now, a lot of you may feel like, oh my God, that takes too much work to be budgeted. I just go ahead and get my money, get my check, and I just take care of my bills and call it a day. Okay, and that's fine for you, but I'll tell you, when you budget, budgeting is like a roadmap. It guides you for your spending, your saving, and investment decisions. And it helps to avoid that stress I was talking about. Okay, when you know how much money you have coming in and how much money you have going out, that is going to make you a better planner for your finances. And what is that going to do? That's going to keep you in an area where you're going to feel in control. You don't want to be in a situation where what's it called? It's called your debt to income ratio is too high. In other words, you're spending more money than you bring in. But if you're budgeting, you will never be in that situation. It's nothing more stressful than to have all of these expenses, and then all of a sudden something comes up, and you don't have the money to pay it. But if you were a budgeter, if you're a person that was budgeting, you would never be in that situation. The key again is to be in control and just get away from the stress. And this is all part of your self-care. So budgeting it doesn't mean that you have to live a real strict lifestyle, because you want to be able to budget in such a way where you do have some room for some luxury, some indulgence. And that's why it's so important to budget. So the first key or the first habit that you want to adopt if you want to talk about financial self-care is budgeting. This is the very first one that you should also incorporate in your life. The second one, and I wonder if all of you should have this. If you don't do this, you should start doing this. It's never too late. Number two, establish an emergency fund. I want you to take a moment right now and think about where you are in your finances and ask yourself this question. If anything happened outside of the normal, outside of me paying my normal bills every month, do I have money set aside to take care of such an emergency? If something happened to me medically, where maybe where my regular insurance doesn't pay for it, I may have to go into my pocketbook or my wallet and pay a little extra. Do I have it? If something happens to my vehicle, that maybe a warranty is not going to cover the whole thing, do I have it? If something happens to my children or my grandchildren or a loved one, do I have the money to come and save the day? Am I in that situation where I will not be stressed out because the money does not exist? Ladies and gentlemen, everyone on this webinar, if you do not have an emergency fund, you should start one. Remember, we always talk about paying yourself first. Start there. Put some money aside when you get paid, even those people who are on a fixed income. That's where budgeting comes in. When you're budgeting and knowing how much money you have coming in and how much money you have going out, you should never get to the point where you're just living from check to check. If you're at that place, then I know for a fact that you are a very, very stressed out person. You probably have health issues. You probably have sleepless nights. You have a lot of things going on negatively that's affecting your overall being. This is why I talked about number one being budgeting and number two being establishing an emergency fund. So it's never too late to start an emergency fund. If it means just taking $10 out, whatever it may be that you have left over, put that aside in case something happens, whether it's an emergency. So again, we're talking about financial self-care. Always trying to make an effort to have an emergency fund for whatever happens out of the ordinary. That's the second one. Remember, we're talking about financial self-care. Number three, prioritizing paying off debt. Okay, so you're budgeting. You've created a emergency fund. Now you want to make sure that you're not swimming in debt. You want to prioritize paying off your debt. That's the key word. The key word is paying off. I didn't say pay on, pay off. Your goal is to pay off debt. Did you know that the average American carries around $38,000 in debt? And I'm talking about maybe a car note, it might be a loan, it might be student loans, it might be credit card, whatever it might be. But I'm pretty sure $38,000, that is a lot of debt. My goodness, I know that is a very, very stressful situation. And there are people who are in more debt than that. Your goal is to pay off those bills. If you want to prioritize and have self-care with your finances, you need to make sure that you are making an effort to pay off your debt. However you want to do that. Paying off your debt frees up more income for savings and spending, but it also improve your credit score. And I know you all know that. Once you start chipping away at those debts, those of you who may have a nominal or a bad credit score or maybe a medium credit score, you want to increase your credit score because what does that do? That puts you in right standing and it allows you more power to get the things done that you want to get done. So make an effort to pay off your debt. Let me give you a scenario. Let's say you have a $5,000 debt and a $2,500 debt. Which one? Think about which one do you want to start paying off first. You make that choice. Maybe you might take the $5,000 debt. Maybe your $5,000 debt, the minimum payment might be $150. Maybe your $2,500 debt might be, let's say, $50 a month. So what you might want to do, if you have money left over, that goes back to what we talked about before, about the budgeting. Okay, if you're budgeting and you have a little bit money left over, maybe this particular month, and when you're trying to pay debts off, maybe you can stop going so much to restaurants on the weekends. Maybe you can instead of going to restaurants every week, maybe you might just go once a week. You want to indulge some, but you also want to have discipline because your goal is to have financial freedom. Remember, it's never about how much money you make. It's always about how much money you have left over. After you've paid all of your bills and gotten rid of all of your debts, your goal is to have money left over for investment, money left over for savings, money left over to put into an emergency fund, money left over just to splurge and do something right, something good for you. That's your purpose. So again, if you have a $2,500 debt and a $5,000 debt, how would you handle that? Some people may say, well, I'm going to take the $150 that I pay every month and I might just increase it $10 or $15 more to get rid of that debt. What I would do, and I've done this already, I had a $2,500 debt and I had a $5,000 debt. I paid off the $2,500 debt, got that out of the way because it was the smaller bill. That's what I did. And then I took the money that I would have paid for the $2,500 debt and put that money towards the larger debt. And then you see the larger debt begin to come down. Okay, that's a strategy. And when you begin to do that, you begin to feel better and you begin to see your credit score go up and you find yourself being less stressed. So your goal, again, number 3, is to prioritize paying off debt, not paying on your debt, paying off the debt. All right. Again, we're talking about financial self-care. Number four, regular financial check-ins. I'll say that one again. Regular financial check-ins. Just like you schedule regular checkups for your physical health, it's important to have regular check-ins for your financial health too. This could be weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever works best for you. The ideal is to regularly review your finances to gauge where you stand. That's what you want to do. During these check-ins, take a look at your spending, your savings, and your investment accounts. Okay, your goal is to keep track of what you're doing. Again, your expenses, what's coming in, and what's going out. And when you regularly look at your finances, you'll be able to gauge if you're on track, if you're making progress with paying off your debts, if you're making progress in terms of your savings, if you're building a nest egg, whatever your goal may be for your money, but you have to regularly look at your finances so that you'll know that. And I know sometimes it may be a little discouraging when you try to look at your monies and say, wow, I don't really have a whole lot. And that's even more reason why you should look at it, because you should try to find a goal. Your goal should be, if you could try to bring more money in, if you could spend less on a particular area. I know a lot of people, and this is something that's very, very true. I heard somebody say the other day that most people who are poor, they're the ones who spend the most. They go out there and buy designer clothes. They get their nail and hair done when they really can't afford it. And don't get me wrong, ladies, there's nothing wrong with getting your hair and nails done. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to look nice. But if you're not in a position to go out there and buy a designer bag, if you're not in a position to buy a $300 or $400 weave or whatever it is you wear, if you're not in a position to be paying $50 or $60 to get your nails done, then you need to cut that out. I'm just being real with you. You need to cut that out and put that money towards a bill. Remember, you're trying to get out of debt if you're in debt. So take that money that you would normally spend on your hair, on your nails, and buying designer clothes, and put that money towards getting out of debt. There's so many people who will never be out of debt because they don't see that. All they want is it's immediate gratification. I want what I want. I'm going to die with debt, and that's all there is to it. That's not the way to do it. Remember, I've always said to you all that money is a living entity. And you have to respect it. When you honor money and treat it right, it's going to treat you right. But you have to be in control. Don't ever let money control you. And people who spend like that, they are totally out of control. And therefore, money is controlling them. And they forever will be in debt. They will never be stress-free. They will never be debt-free, because all they do is just pay on their bills. Pay on their bills. They don't have a savings. They don't have investments. They don't have an emergency fund. They're just living from check to check. And that is not the way we want to live. So again, you want to have regular financial check-ins. That's number 4. Again, we're talking about what? Financial self-care. Number 5. Number 5, this is very, very important. All of them are very important, but this is very important. Are you saving for retirement? Are you saving for retirement? Many people are already in retirement age. Most people in America, I don't know how long most of you have been here, but if you've been here any length of time, you know that the average American, the average senior, lives on Social Security. That's their income. Unless they had a 6-figure job, their retirement Social Security is not a whole lot of money at all. The average person gets under $1,500 a month from Social Security to live on. That's no money. The average person who gets Social Security in America gets under $1,500 a month to live on. That is no money. I know someone personally. I'm not going to say the person's name because the person is on Pasvian, but I know this person very well. I've been knowing them for years, and she divulged to me that her rent is $1,400, and she only gets $1,200. She has no savings. She has nothing invested, and she's living. She robs Peter to pay Paul. She gets those payday loans. That is no way for anyone to have to live. Are you saving for retirement? Start early. If you are on this webinar and you're 30 years old, 30, 40, 50, you should be planning now for your retirement. And if you are already in retirement age, it's never too late to start a retirement fund. Maybe that might be a money market high interest yield savings account. If you have money saved up, put aside, get yourself a high interest savings account. All right. Maybe you might want to even start an annuity. If you want to get an annuity, start early. Start early in an annuity. Mutual funds. If you have a 401k, that's great. Invest in stocks, bonds, even cryptocurrency. These are things that you can invest in now, even being a senior, to start seeing your money grow. These are things that you want to do. See about getting an avenue of passive income. Like many people right now with on passive. This is what they would call passive income. We have to do very little and still see your money grow. That's what it's all about. All you have to do is continue to buy the products and let them do the marketing, and you'll see your money grow. But again, the average senior is living below their means. They're living in poverty level. Some people are eating dog food and cat food. I'm telling you the truth. This is a true statement. There are people out there eating cat food and dog food because they can't afford to eat regularly. They're out there working. Here you are, 70 years old, and you're working at a McDonald's. You're working at a Burger King. You're working in a grocery store because you don't make enough money. Because those people didn't plan. So if you're on this webinar, if you're listening to what I'm saying, if you haven't started saving for retirement, it's never too late. Do whatever you need to do. That might mean getting a financial counselor. That might be getting a coach. That might be trying to find someone that can help you make some small investments. Whatever you need to do to try to bring in more income and curtail your spending. That's why it's so important, again, to take the other areas that I just mentioned to you about the budgeting, having an emergency fund, prioritizing paying off your debts. That's why it's so important that we do those things. Again, we're talking about what? Financial self-care. So again, make sure you are saving for retirement. That's number 5. Number 6, I'm almost finished. Number 6, understanding your financial anxiety. That should hit a home run for a lot of people. Understanding your financial anxiety. Everyone has different triggers when it comes to financial stress. What makes one person anxious may not bother another person, but it's important to identify the aspect of money management that causes you stress. Maybe you're the kind of person that you have money. You don't have a worry, you don't have a problem with money, but maybe your stress trigger might be you have money and there are people around you who are always pulling on you. They know you have money. They know that you manage your money. They know that you have investments, but they make poor money choices. So you're that go-to person. That's your trigger. It's like you don't even enjoy your money because whenever you get your finances come in, it's like, oh wow, I know that Sally Sue is going to be hitting me up this week. I know that my son is going to hit me up this week. I know my daughter is going to hit me up this week. And that's your trigger. And that's stressful. You took the time to manage your money. You took the time to make investments. You took the time to save. But then you have people who don't have the same mindset, who are taking from your income, what you're trying to live on, and what you're trying to manage. Or maybe your trigger might be that you don't have the money. And you know that every single week you dread payday coming because you know that every single dime is going to go to bills. You have no money left over. Before the month is even out, you're broke. You're broke. That might be your trigger. That might be your financial stressor. That might be what's triggering you to be very unhappy about finances. We need to be able to identify what is your financial trigger. What is your trigger? What makes you be stressed out when it comes down to finances? Maybe another scenario might be that, you are the kind of person that you like to have your money at a certain level. And when you get to a certain point, like this, for example, you may get $3,000 a month for in your earnings. And when you get to a certain level, like maybe if you get down to $500 left over, you don't want to spend any more than that. If you spend any more than that, that makes you stressed because you want to keep so much money in your account because you want to feel comfortable and that's your cushion. So again, we all have financial triggers, but you want to be able to identify them. You want to be able to understand that this is what stresses me out. So Dr. T, well, how do I handle that? Well, it might be for you just recognizing and becoming more educated about finances. It may be going to get a financial planner. Maybe you might want to get a financial coach. Maybe you might want to go and just find somebody, read books. All kinds of books are there about finances. Educating yourself about how to manage finances, how to understand that you're having a relationship with money is very important. So when these anxieties come, you'll know how to better handle them. But it's very, 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 very important to understand that if you're going to practice financial self-care, you need to understand your financial anxiety. What are the triggers that make you feel stressed out about your finances, and then learn how to handle them effectively. And last but not least, and this is a very, very important one, last but not least, practicing gratitude. Yes, I said that. Practicing gratitude. The most powerful financial self-care habit is practicing gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have. It's about acknowledging the value in what you already possess rather than constantly chasing more. In terms of finances, this means appreciating the money you have for the things that you are allowed to do. In other words, whatever you have coming in, say thank you for that. This is how I feel. This is how I feel about it. Sometimes you may have unexpected expenses and you have to spend money that you didn't plan to spend. That's why it's important to have that emergency fund. But your attitude should be, I thank God that I even have the money to spend it. I thank God that I had the money to meet that expense. And even if you're not in that situation, just when money begins to come in, just be grateful. And I believe that that's a spiritual principle. When you practice that spiritual principle, what that does, that covers you. I believe that that keeps the enemy off of you. I believe that keeps the stress off of you. I believe that would enable you to just be able to take control over your finances, and you find money coming into your hands. You'll find yourself being more in control. You'll find yourself being more at peace when you have a gratitude. We have an attitude of gratitude. So again, the last one is practicing gratitude. It's about being thankful for the ability to do what you can do with the money that you have. Remember, again, it's not about how much money you have coming in. It's about how much money you have left over when you have paid all of your bills. That means bringing down your debts. That means making your investments and things like that. That's what's most important. Again, we're talking about financial self-care. And when you practice these 7 areas of financial self-care, you'll be more in depth to be in control, you'll be more at peace, and you'll be less stressed out. So let me do a recap of the 7 that I just covered with tonight. The first one is being budgeting. Secondly, establishing an emergency fund. Thirdly, prioritizing paying off your debt. Number 4, regular financial check-ins. Number 5, saving for retirement. Number 6, understanding your financial anxiety. And last but not least, practicing gratitude. When you practice these 7 self-care habits, you'll be more in control, more at peace, and you'll have more money to deal with to have on your journey to financial freedom. I'm Dr. T, and I thank you so much for allowing me to share this message. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. T. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for this amazing financial self-care habit that will help you feel less stress. Thank you. This is I should say this is an astonishing mindset. You make us to understand that budgeting, I mean, I know that you gave us 7, but you say budgeting is the cornerstone for the financial self-care.
Yep.
And it is also the key. You say the key is to get control over yourself and over the budget. And then to make sure that we should establish an emergency fund, which you are 100% correct when it comes to this emergency fund. So that should in case something happens to you, you will be able to, let me say if you don't have a job today, by you working for now, make sure you start saving your money. And if something happens that you cannot pay your bills, at least the budget was somewhere that you have already saved. And you make us to understand that there are a lot of Americans, yeah, I mean, I'm here in America as well, that they are owing a lot of money. And to tell the truth, I am one of them. And you say the average American is like $38,000, but mine is more than that.
Yeah.
So, and you make also understand that regular financial check-in, we should check in your finance. During check-in, you have to check whether are you making any progress, right? When you pay any bill, you write it down. You pay any bill, you write it down. Correct? Dr. T, great.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And that you talk about understanding the financial anxiety and The last was to make sure that we practice gratitude when it comes to finance by saying, hey, we just want to thank our Heavenly Father, hey, for this money, or thank God for the job that He has given to us. Thank you so much, Queen Dr. T. Ford. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Dr. Benny. I appreciate you all too. Thank you.
All right. Queen Pastor Tony, could you please proceed, please?
Excellent presentation, Dr. T. I could relate to everything that you were talking about. And I'll tell you, I hadn't heard about financial triggers. And I'll tell you, I can relate to a lot of different types of financial triggers. And but everything that you talked about, a lot I'm trying to get back in order. And so I thank God for you bringing a lot of that out and giving such great advice. Again, I appreciate you and thank you for presenting that information to us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank
Dr.
you.
Benny, you're speaking muted. Okay, I was just
Thank you so much.
Can I
Thank you.
chime in? Can I chime in there?
Yes, please proceed, please.
Since I cannot raise my hand. Wow, Dr. T, this is you see, when we say this opportunity that we have and this platform is a blessing, this is a complete blessing because this is stuff that 99% of us will just float through life and never, ever get it put so succinctly and so clearly. Just want to thank you and acknowledge the great way that you have put this out. And I was just sitting there when you said budgeting, and I kept thinking about when I talk with people, they say, oh, but there is nothing to budget because my income is so small, you know, once it gets in, the rent or mortgage takes this and then that. But then when you sit down with the person and you really do like a financial needs analysis, you'll find out that there are like $10, $15 that are just leaking through the person's hands. And if we actually do that budgeting and with discipline, you'll be amazed how even what we little that we have, we will be able to actually, as we say, cut our coats according to our sizes. And then it would lead us to that mindset of being thankful, being content, and actually having some gratitude. When you talked about the idea of emergency fund, I started giggling, and like the giggling was because in my day-to-day work, I come across people who tell me that they have an emergency fund. Please, your emergency fund is not a credit card that has been approved and you have not spent it. And you see somebody say, oh, I have a $5,000 credit card that I have not used. I'm just keeping it for emergency. No, that's not what we're talking about here. You're talking about whether you're throwing away, putting away like $5, $10, skip some months, 15 cents, whatever you're putting away in an account, hopefully something that you're not going to send your hand in and poke into it on a daily basis until you've built about 2 to 3 months. It takes 3 to 6 months. It takes a lot of discipline. And then you have that freedom that if something happens, you know, the engine on your car blows off, or the air conditioning in your house packs up and you need to spend $5,000, or you're changing jobs and you need to survive for the next 3-4 months while you're looking for a job. You cannot survive on a credit card because you need to be paying it. And if you use a credit card for that purpose, please, it's gonna put you in debt. So when you said that, I just thought I should throw this one in because a lot of people think that because there's plastic that has some dollars in it. It constitutes an emergency fund. No, please. Let's really listen to what our Queen Dr. T has said here. Get yourself a partner, financial coach, an advisor, or somebody. Read books. I don't even think you need to read a lot of books, because through these platforms that we have been having here, I think we've provided a lot of basic tools that anybody that's been following Dr. T, anybody that's been following some of us on other platforms, you should really be armed with a lot of tools to do this. And I want to end by really just expressing my gratitude to you, because this is something that a lot of the wealthy people know. They teach their kids on the dining table. You have chosen to open your heart and share it to us. And I want to really thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. John. I appreciate you too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. John, for your input, for your support. We appreciate you being here this evening. Thank you. Does anyone have any question for Dr. T? Or any excitement? Do you guys have anything to say about, something that she said, which is very important? I mean, everything that she has said about this finance is very important. It's important, seriously, because I know I owe a lot of money, more than 300K. So since you say average is 38,000 or whatever, but I know that within, as soon as I start making some money, I want to pay off. I do have a friend who is a doctor, of course. When I told him that when I start making money, I'm going to pay off my school loan immediately, he said, no, 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 no. I should not pay immediately. I should use that money and, make some more money somewhere else before I come back and pay the school loan. But I'm not going to wait for him now, because if I have the money, I just want to pay it off at once. What do you think, Dr. T?
Well, what I want to say about that is I understand your thought process. I understand his thought process. I think that you're a woman of integrity. So in your mind, you made the debt because you went out and got your PhD, which is a wonderful thing, and you want to be able to pay people back. You want to be able to pay back the institution that gave you your degree. You know what I'm saying? But you can do both. I think it's time for you to start thinking about investments if you're not doing that already. Talk to someone like Dr. John, and think about, is there any way that you can accumulate passive income? Maybe right now, mutual funds. If you don't already have a 401k, investing in different stocks, high yield dividends, things like that. So there are all kind of ways that you can bring in passive income to bring in extra money. But at the same time, you can always start paying on your student loan if you want to. I don't know right now if they're in forbearance or if you've had the payments deferred. I don't know, because I know when I got my degrees, I had them in forbearance for a while, before I actually was in a position to start paying them. But you always want to be in good standing because you're a person of integrity. You don't want to just say, well, I don't want to pay these debts off. You made the debt, so it's not fair for somebody else to pay off their debt, and you don't have to. But I do agree with trying at this point, while you're where you are, and you do have income, talk to someone about actually bringing in passive income. That might mean, investments. Even look at cryptocurrency. I don't know a whole lot about that. Maybe Dr. John might be able to educate us about that if he knows about that. But cryptocurrency is not a bad thing. A lot of people are making a lot of good money from that. But you have to understand, when to buy, buy low, hold, and when to sell. When that kind of thing, when to move it. But that comes with having a financial planner that's working directly with you and they can show you how to utilize that money. Everything you do. Everything you do. So you're on the right track because you are a woman of integrity. But at the same time, you want to also think about ways of bringing in other income, even outside of on passive. While we're waiting on passive, talk to somebody about making some type of investments that might bring it to maybe even to generate some income for you while you're waiting.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
and Dr. B, one thing that everybody should, we talked about it before. There's this idea of the rule of 72. and it has nothing to do with some fancy math, but just the interest rate. So if you have a student loan that you're paying an 8% interest in it, and you have an opportunity that you can go and make a return of 9%, 10%, then it makes sense for you to make that investment. If on the other hand, you're gonna put that money and you're making 4%, and on the other side, the loan is building you 7, 8%, you're digging yourself down. So it needs that again, as Dr. T just said, both solutions are correct. You just need to look at the numbers, and whichever makes sense to you, you do it. But as a whole, one of the things that we want to do is also maintain our integrity, because you hear somebody say, "Oh, don't worry about the loan," and that is not being a good financial steward, because you start those little ideas and then soon they start going to other things.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, Dr. John. When it comes to it was really an opportunity. I never knew that I will have a school that will be able to help me to pay my school loan. I mean, for me to go to school. So after they helped me, then I said, well, if I was in Cameroon, I don't think this will happen to me. But being in this country, it was an opportunity. And I know that if I have the money right now, because I think about it all the time, I say, a lot of people have refused to pay. I know, but I want to pay. I want to do that. I just want to thank God that, hey, I graduated. There are a lot of people who went to school, they took the school loan. To tell the truth, Dr. John, they did not graduate. But I just want to thank God. And I am determined that as soon as money comes from OnPassive or any other organization, I want to pay back that school loan. I want to thank America for this, for real.
Praise God. Praise God, Dr. Benny. Woman of integrity. Praise God.
Yeah.
Praise God for you. Yes. Yes. It's so important right now. I want to just say this, that, we need to really start looking at our finances, because I think so many people take it for granted. And there's so much going on out there right now. And there's so many people who are really hurting financially. And right now, even in the last couple of years or so, I've really been very seriously thinking about my financial situation. And I don't want to be in a situation where I have to depend on anyone. I don't want to do that. So that's why I'm trying to really make very conscious, good money decisions. And you might say, what is your trigger? My anxiety trigger is when I'm the kind of person, I spend so much, and when I get to a certain point, I cut off the spending. I just deny myself. That might be a good thing, but I just deny myself because I don't want to go over that. And I am not one of those people. I don't live from check to check. After all my bills are paid, I am one of those people who have money left over. And I'm not being braggadocious. I'm saying that with humility. Okay? But I'm also one of those people that I have people around me who don't manage their money, who don't make good money decisions. And so they find themselves, because they know that I do have, so they want to pull on me. I might as well be called Dr. T Bank and Trust. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want to be Dr. T Bank and Trust. I want everybody to have their own. That's why, it's important to think about having passive income. Think about God wants us to have several income streams. We should never rely on just one income stream. Try to have more than one income stream. There are all kinds of opportunities out there. Like I said, talk to Dr. John. This is his profession. Maybe he can tell you what kind of investments to make that will yield high interest. That's what I'm saying, and help you have that cushion that you need. And that's what we all should be looking into, not just Dr. T, but all of us. And even if you're in retirement, there's always a way to save up money. Even if it just means $10, $15 out of your check. Do something. Do something to try to take control of your money habits, because I think your health and your financial health are the two most important things that God has given us. And when we falter either one of those, we're going to be very, very stressed out people. And one leads to the other. When you don't have good health, like Dr. Derek says, you're going to affect your finances. If your finances are all jacked up, it's going to affect your health. They go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. So you have to make a conscious effort to do what's right. Remember, money is a living entity, but you have to control it. Do not allow it to control you, because it will if you let it.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr.
That should
T.
have been my closing statement. Hey, that should have been my closing statement, Dr.
Well,
Okay, you already got
save
it.
it. No, save it again. We're coming for that. We're coming.
Okay.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay.
All right. As you all know, I am going to be presenting 10 ways to prevent cyber attacks, right? But I'm going to say something very small before I will be able to share my screen with my PowerPoint. Now, when it comes to cyber attacks, everyone knows, well, I believe that you guys know that cybersecurity is very, very important, not only within this, our webinar, within our company, but cybersecurity is important all over the globe. It is. So we want to do what it takes to protect ourselves, protect our password, identity theft, and the rest. So just to let you know that in today's world, right, cybersecurity is as important as ever. Now, with every growing threat to businesses, having a robust security solution is very important. We 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 have all heard about the enterprises paying huge money, fines. You guys notice, right? A lot of enterprises, they are paying fines, huge money, even going out of businesses because of what? Simple hack to their system, which means that there are a lot of companies that they are very stingy with their money. They don't want to take care. It is stated that prevention is better than cure. Prevention. If you don't prevent, something happens, you will spend a lot of money in your company. So there are simple, far too many threats out there to ignore the risk from what? Like ransomware or phishing, right? You guys notice I've always been talking about phishing emails, phishing emails. So it could cost your company or your livelihood a lot. Prevention is the key. And the slides that I'm going to show you guys I'm gonna show you guys about the 10 ways to prevent cyber attacks and how to safeguard your business effectively. One is going to be like the use of strong password, multi-factor authentication, keep your software system updated, install and maintain antivirus, be cautious with what? Emails, leaks, right? Secure your network, limit access or use of least privilege principles, back up your data regularly. You have to back up your information, right? I've always been talking about within any company, there's always a database administrator that will be able to back up every information or anyone that is inserting data into the system. You have a database administrator that at the ending of the day, that database administrator will back up all that information that you inserted. Even though we do have certain types of backups, right? You have hot, cold, and incremental backup. We also talk about the educate your employees or your users. You monitor or dictate the threat proactively. You develop an incident response plan. when it comes to the cyber attacks. So just give me a minute and I am going to share you my screen. Thank you so much, Mr. Carlton. You know, I'm calling your name because you are the only one that I can see at the moment. So let me show you my screen, Papa. What is cyber attack? A cyber attack is a deliberate misuse of the system or network. Cyber attacks use malicious code to compromise your computer, logic, or data and still leak or hold your data hostage. Cyber attacks prevention is essential for every business and organization. So when I talk about the businesses, as you all know, you have like the federal government, right? State government, financial institution, health, education, everything. So here are some examples of common cyber attacks. Remember, I talk about identity theft, right? You have fraud, you have extortion, you have breach of access, you have password sniffing, system infiltration, website defacement, private and public web browser exploit. Now, so what should we do when you have all this problem in an organization? What I would like you to do is to train your staff, right? One of the most common way of cyber criminals get access to your data is through your employees, right? You know, some of the employees, they don't truly understand, and that's why we really need to train them. When a new employee come to an organization, you have that human resource and the rest that they prepare all the documentation in order to train them so that they should know what is happening within the company. So they will send a deceitful, as you know, those hackers, they will send a deceitful emails impersonating someone in your organization and will either ask for personal detail or for access to certain files. Links often seem legitimate to an untrained eyes, and it is easy to fall into the trap. That is why employee awareness is important. Now, one of the most efficient way to protect against cyber attacks and all types of data breaches is what? To train your employees on cyber attack prevention and to inform them of the current cyber attacks. Yes. The staff needs what? They need to check leaks or links before clicking in. Remember that someone can send you a link, right? If somebody sent you a link, you really need to know who that individual is. Remember, they also say that somebody can impersonate. Before you click on any link, please try to see if you can communicate. Let's say if somebody impersonated me and say, DrBenny has sent you this link, call me first before you click on that link. Please check email addresses from the received email. Have a look here on how to check on the email. Now use common sense, all right, before sending a sensitive information to anybody. Now, if a request seems odd, it's probably is. It's better to check via the phone call with a person in question before what? Actioning the request. Now, another thing is for you to keep your software and the system fully up to date. How do you do that? Often, cyber attacks happen because your system or your software are not fully updated, leaving weaknesses, right? So, cyber criminals exploit these weaknesses to gain what? Access into your network. Once they are in, it is often too late to take preventive action. Now, to counteract this, it is smart to invest in what? Patch management system that will manage all the software and system updates, keeping your system resilient or very strong and up to date. Another thing we need to talk about is like the endpoint protection. Endpoint protection will protect what? Your networks that are remotely bridged to devices, mobile devices, tablets, and laptops that are connected to corporate network. It gives access to path to security threat. These paths need protected with what? Specific endpoint protection software. Next, for you to install a firewall, there are so many different types of sophisticated data breaches, and new ones surface every day, even make comebacks. Now, putting your network behind a firewall, right, is one of the most effective way to defend yourself now from any cyber attack. Now, a firewall system will block any brute force attack made on your network or the system before it can do any damage, something we can help you with when the time arises. Remember, we talk about the database data backup, right? Now, in an event of any disaster, often a cyber attack, you must have your data backed up to avoid what? Serious downtime, loss of data, and serious financial loss. Data backup means you create a copy, all right? A copy of your data on any system that you use for a recovery in case your original data is lost or corrupted. You can also use a backup to recover the copies of the older files if you have deleted them from your system. Control access to your system. Now, believe it or not, one of the attacks that you can receive on your system can be physical. Having control over who can access your network is important. Somebody can simply walk into your office or enterprise and what? Plug in a USB key containing what? Infected files into one of your computer, allowing them access to your entire network or infect it. So the USB mean Universal Serial Bus, right? Standard, it has been extremely useful. So USB port and cables are used now to connect the hardware such as your printer. I believe everybody knows about the printers, right? The scanner, keyboard, mouse, you have flash drive, you have external drive, you have joystick, you have cameras, monitors, and so on, right? We have to be very careful, do not allow anybody, if they have a USB, to use it on your computer. Never you allow them to use it, please. It is essential to control who has access to your computer. Having a perimeter security system installed is a very good way to stop cybercrime as much as break-in. You guys notice about the Wi-Fi, right? So who does not have a Wi-Fi enabled device in 2020? And that is exactly the danger. And any device could get infected by connecting to a network. Now, if this is infected, the device then connect to your business network, your entire system is at risk. Securing your Wi-Fi network and hiding them is one of the safest way you can do for your system. With wireless technology developing more and more every day, there are thousands of devices that can connect to your network and compromise you. Employee personal account. Every employee needs their own login for every application and program. Several users connecting under the same credential can put your business at risk. Having separate login for each staff member will help you. reduce the number of attacks front, right? Users only log in one each day and will only use their own set of login. So that is why when you have a database administrator, you have a system administrator, when a new employee comes in, that administrator is supposed to create a username and password for that particular individual. And then when, let me say, if they provide me with a password, I will make sure I change my password because I don't want that somebody else to know my password, even my boss. I would not allow my boss to know my password as well. Another one, we talk about the access management. One of the risks as business owner, remember, everybody, right now, we are business owners, right? You have your business. OnPassive is your business, okay? Or if you have any other business, that's fine. But one of the risk as a business owner having employees is installing software on that business owns a device that could compromise your system. Now, having managed an admin right and blocking your staff, installing or even accessing certain data on your network is beneficial to your security. It is your own business. Protect it, right? Remember, the business is your business. Just like I stated before, OnPassive is your business. Now, you have to protect your business, right? Next thing we talk about password. Having the same password set up for everything can be dangerous. Once a hacker figure out your password, they now have access to everything in your system and any application you use. Now, having different passwords set up for every application you use is a real benefit to your security, and changing them often will maintain a high level of protection against external and internal threat. As you all know, at my organization, I used to think that, hey, based upon the National Institutes of Standard and Technology, because they gave their own recommendation that like every 90 days, password should be changed. But where I am, can you believe that is every 60 days? Oh my goodness. Oh, it's tough. It is tough. But anyway, in conclusion, it can be difficult to know where to begin, right? When it comes to protecting your business from cyber crime and cyber attacks. With ever-growing threat to businesses, having a robust security solution is essential. Preventing, dictating, or disrupting the attacks at the earliest opportunity limits the business impact and potential for reputational damage. All right, so this is where I got my information from. As you all know, thank you all for listening. Knowing that cybersecurity is the key to any business in this world. We need to learn how to protect our information. Isn't it, Mr. Carlton? We have to learn. Thank you all for listening. Queen Pastor Tony, proceed, please.
Excellent presentation. I really enjoyed it. And great information. I know years ago when I worked in the computer room, and every time we got new people in, we did assign them, we did their user code password for them, and then we did advise them to change it, because a lot of times they wouldn't. And but we didn't want anyone to know outside of them, because sometimes bosses, I knew one boss, and because he knew a certain woman's password and he didn't like her. And so he used her password to get into their system for her department. and he messed up some stuff and she was fired for it. So yeah, great information. And just in case, because when you mentioned not even your boss should know it, and that's a prime example of how important it is not to have anyone know your password, even if it's someone like your boss. So great presentation, great advice.
Thank you so much, Pastor Tony. I mean, it is not really fair for what that man did to the lady or the person that he did not like. It's
Yeah.
not really fair. So how did he feel when she was fired?
Well, she happened to be someone that was always getting other people in trouble. She was
Oh,
a boss, and she
okay.
she ended up getting a lot of people fired, and it wasn't even fair. She would set traps and make it look like they were the culprits and stuff like that. And so nobody really liked her. And they thought that one day, they hoped that she would get caught and justice would be served. And so this one manager who was in the computer room, he found out about all that she had done. And so he happened to be able to get a hold of her password, and he hacked into her system, and she had very important information in there. And so he made a small change that cost her life, her job. And they had police come in and escort her out. She was like a raving lunatic. Trying, it was like something out of a movie, but everyone ended up applauding. It was terrible, but yeah, you're right. We should, when we get our new passwords, if we happen to be working for a company who assigns passwords, we should change them. So great presentation.
Thank you so much, Pastor Tony. What I have realized, let's give an example. I create an email for somebody, like Mr. Carlton. If I create an email and I've given you the password, I would like you to change your password. But please, when you change the password, make sure that you write the password somewhere that I don't see it, nobody in your family see it, but make sure you memorize it as well. Because I do have a lot of people that I created emails and they were afraid. They thought that we were going to start making money pretty soon from OnPassive. So they changed their password. But guess what? And then there was something that happened that they lost that password. And it's difficult now for them to even log into their Gmail. Not my fault, huh? That is why whenever a password is being created, know where to keep your password. You don't have to don't put it on your cell phone now. Do not. Because if you put it on your cell phone, you might still misplace it, right? If you misplace your cell phone, it's another trouble right there. Thank you so much, Queen Pastor Tony, for your acknowledgement, for your support as well. Thank you, Queen Teda King. Queen Teda King says, thank you to Dr. Ford for the mindset on the financial self-care habit. All points raised are very, very important. Dr. Benny, thanks for your excellent presentation on cybersecurity. Your training over the months have given us insight what to look out for in our business. Thank you so much for your dedication each week. My Queen Teda King, I want to thank you so much for your acknowledgement. I appreciate you. I am so thrilled that a lot of you guys, those who have been coming here, attending this webinar, especially on Tuesdays, now know how to protect yourself from cyber attacks, especially when it comes to the password, because we do have cyber criminals out there every day. It's happening. Thank you so much. Queen, Dr. T, could you please proceed?
Yes, I wanted to say, Dr. Benny, my admiration for you is so great. Week after week, you've been doing this since last year, maybe before that, teaching about cybersecurity, and just this particular area of study is just so profound to me. I'm not really very technically savvy. Tony's the one who's really technically savvy with one of our group, but just all this information, it just raises my awareness. And for you to take time week after week to bring us this information, I just think it's so astounding and so unselfish of you, to give us your expertise. Like so many have said, we get all this information for free. If you being a PhD holder, if you were going to charge someone for this information, you could charge thousands of dollars for all this information, but you give it to us free gratis because you care about us. And I want you to know I really, really do appreciate a lot of this stuff. If I may be transparent, is really over my head. That's why a lot of time I don't make a comment. But I just want you to know that, I'm learning and I really appreciate you. So I keep up the good work and please continue to give us this information. You're most appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My queen, I appreciate you. Yes, thank you. Brother Naga, thank you so much for coming and welcome. So, does anyone have anything to say? If not, I am going to ask our queen, Dr. T, to give her closing remarks.
Hey. One of the most profound revelations about financial care that is not simply about numbers and transactions. That's not what it's about. It's about your relationship with money and how it impacts your overall well-being. Remember, money is a living entity, and we are to take control of it. We want to have a peace of mind. We want to enjoy our money. We want to be at peace with it. We want to be able to utilize it as a means of exchange. We want to be able to have a great lifestyle, even if we're not wealthy. We don't have to be a Donald Trump or a Elon Musk to enjoy money. Like, again, it's not about how much money we make. It's about how much money we have left over. And that's what tells the truth of it all. So, when you have financial stress, that can take a toll on your health, your relationships, and the quality of life. This is why it's so important to implement the 7 habits that I talked about: budgeting, establishing an emergency fund, paying off your debts, regular financial check-ins, saving for retirement, understanding your financial anxiety, and last but not least, practicing gratitude. And when you implement these 7 habits, these 7 self-care, you can cultivate a healthier relationship with money. And that's your objective tonight. When you think about when I talk tonight, your objective is to have a healthier relationship with your money. Get to the point where you learn to respect money, get to the point where you learn to honor it, but don't let it control you because you are in control. And when you learn that and appreciate that, you'll be well on your way to financial freedom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. T. Thank you for your closing remarks. I appreciate you, and I know that you'll be back again next week for another topic, which is also, as we know, that is very important, especially this one today. This is very important. I hope those who are here listen, and I believe you guys wrote something down, right? You put it down on your notebook. Thank you so much. All right, I am going to give you my own closing remarks. When it comes to this cyber security again, or cyber attack, cyber attack is, as I said from the beginning, that it is a deliberate misuse of your system or network. Cyber attacks, they use malicious code in order to compromise your computer, right? Or logic and the data that will steal or leak your data or hold your information hostage, right? So cyber attacks prevention is very essential to every business, but people may not really understand. It is very important. So I talked about those 10 ways, right? That the use of strong password. I keep talking about this password because things are happening out there. If you do not insert a strong password, the cyber criminals are out there. Remember when we start receiving the apples, it may not only be within our own company, but different companies that you have joined. Now, if you don't know the password, or if you have the password and you cannot save it, is the cyber criminal will steal your information. Another thing is for you to secure your network. You use the firewalls, it has to be encrypted. If it is encrypted, the only person that would decrypt is the person. Let me say, I have to send you the information, the encrypted information. Then I will give you, you will know the password, because I will send you an information that you'll be able to decrypt it in order to get the information. Now we talk about the database backup. Whenever you go to work in any organization, you have database administrators. There are a lot of workers, employees, but having a database administrator, that administrator back up all the information that all of us have inserted, right? Now, he will either do a full backup or a partial backup or an incremental backup. When you back up that system, you are backing it because should in case anything happen, you'll be able to recover all the information that was lost, right? Then cybersecurity is really essential today in a digital world. So by implementing these preventive measures, right, individuals like you and I and businesses can reduce the risk of cyber attack in order to protect your sensitive information. So what we should do is to stay vigilant, proactive, and continuously updating what? Our security strategies, which is the key to safer online environment. Thank you so much, my brothers and sisters, for listening. And make sure, protect yourself from these cyber criminals. Thank you, Dr. T. Yes, please.